During the earthquake, I grabbed Ethan, who was trying to rush in to save his beloved, costing me a leg. Later, when Ethan married me, that disfigured girl jumped from a building on our wedding day. He never spoke of it, just devoted decades to helping me through rehabilitation for my injured leg. On our 10th anniversary, he shoved my pregnant self into incoming traffic. Before walking away, he asked, "Jasmine, do you finally understand how helplessness feels?" As tires crushed my body, I realized his enduring hatred. When I reopened my eyes, reborn at the moment of collapsing walls, I released his hand. "Ethan, run!" I screamed. Through billowing dust, I watched him resolutely shake off my grasp mid-collapse. Last life. I dragged him back, shielding him with my body as debris fell. Jagged rocks pierced my flesh, agony blurring my consciousness as I gasped my dying wish against his ear, "Be happy." Waking in hospital with half a leg gone, I'd sobbed uncontrollably upon realizing I'd never fence again. Ethan's mother made their family kneel until I stopped crying. That once radiant boy trembled while wiping my tears. "Jasmine," he'd vowed, "marry me. I'll care for you forever." For years I mistook the darkness in his gaze for love, until tires crushed both our child and delusion on that asphalt. "No. I need to save Sophia. She's still inside." Ethan's roar snapped me back. His youthful face contorted with panic I remembered so well, the strong arms that caught me during rehab, the whispered comforts after nightmares. Yet I also recalled our anniversary, how he'd removed my prosthetic before shoving me into traffic. His breath hot with malice. "Know what today is, Jasmine? My Sophia's been gone 10 years. She'd accepted my proposal. Everything was supposed to get better. Rescue crews found me, but not Ethan or Sophia." His final words from our previous life echoed, "Who gave you the right to play God? I loved her enough to die for her." What's our childhood bond compared to 1 month with my soulmate? The honors student who'd thrown away scholarships for her whims, blind to how impossibly perfect their match was. At the hospital, Mrs. Brooks clutched my hands, haggard. "Where's Ethan?" When I shook my head, she accused, "Weren't you together? How could you abandon him?" I swallowed my retort. Last lifetime, this woman had transitioned from gratitude to constantly reminding me of my luck in marrying her son, even setting him up with other women. Whenever I protested, she'd clutch her chest until Ethan silenced me. He'd chosen his path. This time, I let him run. I looked at Mrs. Brooks, no longer wanting to say anything unnecessary. Ethan had lost his father early and was raised solely by his mother. With graduation just around the corner, I didn't know if she could handle it if something happened to him. How could you? How could you not stop him? You just watched him walk to his death. How could you be so cruel? A crowd began gathering around us. Mrs. Brooks clutched her chest, collapsing to the floor in hysterical sobs. "My son dated her for years, took care of her all this time, and she abandoned him there alone." The reporter beside her raised a camera while bystanders pulled out phones. I could already imagine the viral videos labeling me the ungrateful villain. The scene froze when a blood-stained stretcher burst through the doors. Mrs. Brooks sprang up like a fish leaping from water, throwing herself at the gurney carrying Ethan, his right arm mangled beyond recognition beneath crimson-soaked bandages. "Are you insane? Why would you save others? If you died, how could I go on living?" Her wails echoed through the corridor as Ethan smiled weakly. "I saved Sophia. I saved Sophia. As long as she's safe, I'd do anything." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Sophia? Isn't that another girl? Wasn't he dating someone else?" This is emotional blackmail. His life matters more than others? As public sympathy shifted, Mrs. Brooks paled and slumped backward, her earlier dramatics replaced by genuine collapse. Medical staff rushed toward them while I walked into the examination room across the hall. The results came back clear. When I left the hospital, news came that Ethan would survive but needed arm amputation. This lifetime's reversal had made him the tragic hero saving his beloved. I hoped Tyler would stay by his side through recovery. Staring at the ICU's blinking red light, I remembered Tyler's face from my previous life, how she'd gripped her phone during the earthquake. Voice trembling with finality. "Say you love me, or I'll die here. I won't run unless you promise me. Jasmine." I'd witnessed her turbulent relationship with that film department senior. Heard her laughingly tell friends, "Ethan? Just playing around." How else would Jasmine learn her lesson? That's why I tried stopping Ethan, wanting to spare him doomed heartbreak even if he fell for another. Yet here we were. A month later. I brought flowers to Ethan's discharge. His basketball star right arm ended in a bandaged stump. Mrs. Brooks looked aged a decade. Voice reduced to rasping whispers. "We're done," I said calmly. He didn't protest. Tyler had visited daily during his recovery, tearfully pledging eternal devotion. Perhaps this was our best possible ending. Alone in his vacated hospital room, the same one I'd occupied last lifetime, I finally understood no one saves us but ourselves. Glancing down, I expected to see Ethan embracing Tyler, but instead found her locked in a passionate kiss with another man. My ringing phone interrupted the view. Mom's name flashed on screen. When I looked again after answering, Tyler stood alone downstairs clutching roses before rushing into Ethan's incomplete embrace, his amputated arm struggling to reciprocate. "Where are you?" Mom's voice held familiar urgency. "Last life." She'd never blamed Ethan despite my disability, though she'd later confided suspicions about his true nature. I'd fought her then, defending his perfect facade. Reborn. I finally recognized that maternal instinct. "Don't worry, Mom. I've said goodbye to Ethan." My reassurance died as I glanced down again. There stood Tyler's secret lover amidst flower beds, smirking up at me with a roguish grin. Hands casually pocketed. He pressed a finger to his lips, signaling silence, his gaze carrying an undercurrent of danger as if warning me not to speak out. Truthfully, someone like Sophia having abundant romantic prospects wasn't surprising. Even among the sea of beauties in the performing arts department, she stood out strikingly. Those narrow, deep-set eyes brimming with starlight could captivate anyone's soul with a single glance. Rumor had it several renowned directors had already sent scripts her way, but Sophia kept rejecting them all, insisting on reserving her acting debut for Tyler. Yet fate proved cruel in our previous lives. Her pride and joy, that flawless face, got scarred during an earthquake, leaving her features permanently marred. Back then, Ethan abandoned me during my post-surgery recovery to secretly visit Sophia, only to be turned away every time. He stubbornly believed she avoided him out of shame over her disfigurement, convinced she'd taken her life in despair after I forced him into marriage. What he never discovered was that on the day Sophia jumped, Tyler had posted a photo holding hands with some girl, their interlaced fingers radiating sickening sweetness. For 10 agonizing years after losing my leg, I struggled through hell, yet never managed to erase Ethan's lingering regret over Sophia's imperfection. He blamed all her suffering on me, oblivious that she'd never truly cared for him. Now that I think about it, my own obsessive devotion back then differed little from Ethan's reckless infatuation. Returning to campus where reconstruction was nearly complete, our graduating class flooded the job market. In the past life, Ethan's exceptional talents and striking looks made him stand out to recruiters instantly. Now he sat before obscure companies, clumsily scrawling his name with his left hand, though no one voiced it aloud. The pity in their eyes outweighed any admiration. The same icy disdain I'd endured now chilled him to the bone. "Jasmine," the interviewer tapped my resume. "What's your stance on balancing career and family?" I understood the unspoken question. Single young women always face these veiled doubts. Memories flickered before I answered firmly, "I was born to be a mountain." Not a stream. Her startled pause melted into a warm nod. Final question, why choose wheelchair fencing coaching? My hand drifted to my right knee under the table, rotating the ankle I'd miraculously regained. The joy of the second chance still lingered. In my past life, repeated rejections turned my love for fencing into bitter hatred. I'd smash TVs whenever matches aired. Years later, a coach handed me a foil, saying lost legs? Grow wings instead. By then, my atrophied muscles could barely grip the weapon. Now reborn, I want others to feel this liberation. Faster. Higher. Stronger isn't just physical, it's the will to transcend limits. Those words from my former coach finally brought peace. Leaving the hall, I spotted Ethan and Sophia. She stood radiant beside him, cooing sugary assurances, "Don't worry about work, Ethan. I'll take care of you forever." The familiar script made me smirk. "Let me find you an easy high-paying job," she offered. "I don't need handouts," Ethan snapped, face flushing. "Just give me time, Sophia. I'll prove myself." Her performative kindness clearly masked disdain. But Ethan's crumbling pride couldn't accept charity. His once promising future now bore the stain of skipped exams to accompany Sophia's competitions. Without his previous advantages, reaching past heights would require Herculean effort. As I passed them, Ethan deliberately raised his voice, "I'll make you happy, Sophia." My peripheral vision caught him embracing her waist, eyes darting toward me. I kept walking, yet suddenly remembered 18-year-old Ethan waiting outside my dorm all night, clutching a jar of paper stars as he stammered, "Jasmine, we got into the same university. Could we be together? I'll make you happy." Willow catkins and sweat-damp collars flashed behind my eyelids. We'd fought so hard to be together, only to be undone by time. "Jazz." Emily's bubbly voice shattered the memory as she barreled into me. "Be my lead for graduation project." The director at Air had zero cares beyond finishing her mandatory short film before studying abroad. Linking arms, I agreed. This new life held too many possibilities to dwell on ghosts. My roommate seemed worried I might be upset over the breakup, subtly positioning herself to block my view of Ethan and Sophia. Mrs. Brooks came to the school the other day and made a huge scene confronting Sophia. She whispered, kept ranting about how she was born a Brooks and would die a Brooks. Even demanded Sophia start working on giving her a grandson immediately. Anybody would crack under a mother-in-law like that. She kept glancing at me nervously while speaking. "Emily," I said firmly, "Ethan and I are done. I don't want updates about his life anymore. I'm at a critical juncture. There are far more important things than romance now. Letting someone who's completely irrelevant to my future disrupt my peace would be self-sabotage." The play Emily wrote centered around a female principal from remote mountainous regions. I portrayed a girl forced to abandon education due to familial marriage pressures. During rehearsals, I noticed we were practicing next to Tyler's crew, whose lead actress happened to be Sophia. Their daily proximity and lingering touches had become campus gossip, though nobody dared comment openly given Tyler's influential family connections. Ethan's promising job applications had mysteriously evaporated. He eventually accepted Sophia's offer to use connections at a decent-paying firm, though it meant becoming the very type of nepotism hire he'd always despised. In my previous life, he'd been undergoing agonizing rehabilitation therapy during this period, coming to terms with his amputated limb through daily physical and emotional torment. Now, emotionally unstable and desperate for validation, he clung to Sophia, who couldn't be bothered. Obsessed with maintaining her camera-ready beauty through strict sleep schedules and skincare routines, she blossomed under romantic attention while growing increasingly dismissive of him. During rehearsal breaks, I often overheard Sophia snapping into her phone, "I told you I'm busy. Cast meeting tonight, figure it out yourself." When Ethan occasionally visited, she'd duck behind stage flats whispering, "Don't tell him I'm here," to crew members. Valentine's Day brought the breaking point. Ethan arrived with flowers only to be ignored during hours of rehearsals. finally snapping before the entire cast. He hurled the bouquet groundward. "Sophia! I've called 20 times. What's your damn problem?" The room froze. Sophia, accustomed to male adoration, met his outburst with icy contempt. "Some of us have actual responsibilities, Ethan. Not everyone can lounge around all day." Her deliberate emphasis on actual made his face blanch. As he tried pointing accusingly, his empty sleeve flapped pathetically, nearly tripping him over a chair. Watching the once brilliant prodigy reduced to public humiliation, I averted my eyes. Loss teaches value in ways prosperity never can. Just as protected Sophia will never comprehend what Ethan's sacrifice spared her. Ethan remains oblivious to how my intervention altered his fate. His past ingratitude mirrors Sophia's current callousness perfectly. After the disrupted rehearsal, I stayed late practicing fencing moves for my role as a martial arts actor escaping rural poverty. The script required an elaborate sword sequence I'd yet to remaster post-reincarnation. When stage lights suddenly dimmed, I nearly dropped my épée spotting a shadowy figure in the front row. "Impressive," came Tyler's voice, eyes glinting like obsidian in the half-light. "Ethan never deserved you." Assuming he came to threaten silence about his Sophia entanglement, I preempted, "Your affairs are none of my business." He chuckled, reeking of bourbon and expensive cologne as he leaned closer. "Sophia's too delicate. I want a resilient leading lady like you, wildfire rather than hothouse flower." His wandering hands met my blade's tip as I stepped back. Tyler's artistic temperament and family prestige enabled endless predatory behavior that ambitious girls endured for career advantages. But I'd walked through literal fire to get here. No pretty boy with a trust fund could faze me now. I shot Ethan a cold glance and took 2 steps back. "Who I choose to be with is none of your business." I removed my costume and turned to leave, but Tyler grabbed my sleeve. "Jasmine," he said, "has anyone ever told you how extraordinary you are? If we started dating, do you think Ethan would be devastated? Wouldn't you love to see him come crawling back?" For a fleeting moment, the idea tempted me, but I quickly smothered that weakness. I don't need a man's pursuit to validate my charm, nor do I require male regret to prove my worth. My perfection stands alone, unmeasured by anyone's presence. When Tyler persisted, I warned coldly, "I want no further connection with Ethan. Keep harassing me, and I'll expose everything I know. That won't end well for you either." I shrugged off my costume and strode from the theater. The subsequent days saw Ethan enter a cold war with Sophia. He stopped visiting her at rehearsals and avoided their usual campus haunts, oblivious that this emotional withdrawal was exactly what she'd hoped for. On my birthday, Emily organized a cast celebration at a restaurant. Midway through dinner, an anonymous text arrived. "Frowny face, happy birthday, Jazz." The pet name instantly transported me to Ethan's first love letter at 17, where he'd coined that abbreviation. Without hesitation, I deleted the message. Leaving the restaurant tipsy, I noticed the fencing teen rookie hovering uncertainly as we walked back to campus. Under a street lamp's glow, Ethan's lanky silhouette materialized. The group instinctively gave a spacey as he stepped forward clutching clumsily folded paper stars. "Happy birthday," he said, voice trembling despite obvious restraint. "Thanks." My response held zero warmth. The wind scattered his offering across the pavement. Neither of us moved to retrieve them. "I'm leaving for Beijing tomorrow, prosthetic fitting," he murmured with familiar wounded pride. For 4 years. I'd been his constant through every crisis, like sophomore year when he'd presented my birthday cake with blood soaking his shirt from a cycling accident, crumbling into rare tears only when I tended his wounds. Now, facing this challenge alone, he'd finally understand true isolation. "Best of luck," I said icily. "Jasmine, must we be strangers?" His plea drew curious stares from our audience. "Ethan, your sudden affection is just abandonment issues seeking comfort. But you know me, I tolerate zero betrayal. When you chose to discard me, Friendship died with it. Your tragic hero act doesn't move me. You made your bed, lie in it. As I rejoined my friends, graduation preparations accelerated. Tyler began leaving extravagant gifts, designer rings in my backpack. Limited edition dresses. I ignored these rich boy games. Focused on coaching the new fencing team toward our first major competition. On Sophia's birthday, Ethan reappeared with his mother, sporting a new prosthetic. Mrs. Brooks sought me out, aged beyond her years by recent turmoil. Jasmine dear, Ethan's still such a child. You know how impulsive he gets. But deep down, I politely excused myself. Some chapters simply aren't worth revisiting. In my previous life, after we got married, Ethan had said the same thing to other women multiple times, implying exactly what you'd expect. Hearing it now filled me with disgust. No one remains a child forever. He's a grown man who should take responsibility for his actions. Whether he's sentimental or not doesn't concern me. He has a girlfriend now. You should take this up with her. I turned to leave, but Mrs. Brooks grabbed my arm. I'm favoring you by trying to make this work. You know perfectly well Ethan and that girl are serious. They've even found jobs together. Let's be blunt, if my son hadn't lost an arm, you wouldn't even be in consideration. Her proud maternal tone revealed Ethan had hidden the truth about his connections, gotten job and fights with Sophia. This wasn't about liking me, she simply considered Sophia too wild and wanted me to clean up their mess. Having endured Mrs. Brooks' antics in my past life, I almost wanted to see how this entitled helicopter mom would clash with Sophia's princess attitude. Then I'll wish them success. May they grow old together in marital bliss. Save your matchmaking efforts, I'm not worthy of your golden boy. She snorted and grabbed her purse. As she reached past me, I noticed her clubbed fingers, telltale sign of severe heart disease. I bit back my next words, not wanting to trigger cardiac arrest. Mom, let's go find Sophie. Ethan's voice echoed through the hallway as Mrs. Brooks opened the door. Laughter from the crowd outside flooded in as I shut myself in. Kneeling to organize props, Emily later told me Ethan had booked a fancy restaurant, drawing most crew members from both productions. I left immediately after packing up. Between daily coaching at the provincial fencing team, I had no time for gossip until I saw an ambulance speed through campus gates. Students sprinting toward the theater building. Quick! That acting senior got caught cheating. Someone yelled. The full story came from Emily, when Ethan's entourage dramatically threw open the dressing room door. They found Sophia and Tyler half-dressed. They were going at it like animals. Emily quoted theatrically. Ethan froze while Mrs. Brooks lunged at Sophia, only to get kicked in the chest. Ethan then brawled with Tyler, all captured by someone's surprise recording camera. As I gestured to stop, Emily continued urgently. During the scuffle, someone pushed Sophia. She fell, there was blood everywhere. I choked on my water. Turns out she was 3 months pregnant. The baby's gone. Given Ethan's only been with her 2 months. Mrs. Brooks is in ICU after a heart attack. Jasmine, you dodged a nuke. Their mess isn't your problem anymore. Ethan thrived with you but threw it away, serves him right. I squeezed her hand. Enough about Ethan. He's just someone I used to know. Look at this. I showed video of our new fencer, a polio survivor whose parents tried forcing her into arranged marriage with a deaf-mute stranger. Now she executed perfect lunge attacks. She said no through fencing. Emily tearfully hugged me. When I'm a director, I'm making your story into a film. At graduation showcase, Emily's short film climaxed with girls chanting "I am the mountain" while I demonstrated swordplay on stage. As fabric swirled around my lunges, visions flashed, screeching tires. A wheelchair-bound woman clutching her pregnant belly, crying "Save me!" Across time, I answered, "I'll save you. I can." The phantom car halted. The swollen belly flattened. Legs regrew as I dragged us both to safety. Reborn into this life. I'm determined to love myself properly. The audience erupted into thunderous applause. I spotted Ethan sitting in the crowd, weeping uncontrollably. The first person to stand up with flowers was unexpectedly Tyler. I watched him approach me carrying a bouquet of roses so large it nearly obscured his entire body. "Jasmine, you look breathtaking today." The center of the arrangement glaringly displayed, "Jasmine, I love you." Yet I didn't accept it. Emily finally took the bouquet as the event organizer, politely responding, "Thank you for your support." While packing backstage, I noticed a figure lingering at the doorway. Turning around, I met Ethan's bloodshot eyes. He shuffled forward, arms trembling as they opened awkwardly. "Jasmine, we're graduating. May I hug you?" We both knew this would be our final encounter in this lifetime. My gaze caught the prosthetic arm peeking from his sleeve. My resolve softened momentarily. "Be happy," he choked out. How ironic that in this second chance at life, he'd become the one uttering those words. Fate's twisted humor never ceased to amaze. If you'd stopped me back then," his voice broke. "Jasmine, I'm sorry. I was wrong." Ethan's lips quivered as tears splattered the floor. I laughed coldly. Only cowards regret their choices without owning them. "Ethan, you wanting forgiveness changes nothing. We mean nothing to each other now. Never crossing paths again would be our greatest blessing." Hoisting my bag, I left the theater behind along with every shadow of my past. After graduation, I deliberately avoided news about them all. Emily later shared updates, Mrs. Brooks nearly dying during surgery. The Mitchell family causing a scene at the Brooks residence. Ethan begging classmates for loans after losing his job. Tyler's relentless messages kept pinging my phone. Breakup announcements with Sophia. Movie role offers. I never responded. Men who weaponize wealth and influence deserve contempt, not admiration. My days overflowed with coaching para-athletes for upcoming competitions. During our team's travel for the championship, anxiety gnawed at me. Disabled athletes required meticulous preparation. That night at the hotel, Emily's urgent call shattered the silence. "Jasmine, check trending." The edited clip showed Mrs. Brooks screaming at me during the earthquake, cunningly cropped before my life-saving actions. My stoic expression morphed into viral memes captioned, "Not my problem." Our entire team got doxxed. Outraged comments flooded in. How can someone who couldn't even save people close to her be trusted to care about disabled individuals? Cancel their qualification. That heartless monster shouldn't coach. Emily's voice cut through the chaos. "Who did you piss off? This timing's too perfect." Checking the original post, I froze. The account used Tyler's signature Raven profile picture, the same one that destroyed Sophia in my previous life. My blood turned icy as my phone rang. The distorted voice didn't disguise Tyler's smugness. "Enjoying the show, Jasmine? What do you want? Abandon your coaching position and join the crew to find me. Or not only will your reputation suffer, I have ways to make your entire team disqualified." The prolonged silence found me sitting alone in the dark room. Tyler had always been unhinged. And if I refused him, God knows how the situation might escalate. This was crucial timing for everyone. I couldn't let personal grudges ruin the competition we prepared for months. Yet my own feelings mattered too. This project meant everything, the role I dreamed of and knew I could excel at. I didn't want to surrender easily. "Jasmine, have you considered the video's origin?" Emily's question struck like lightning. That day, my memories blurred. But besides Ethan and Mrs. Brooks, there'd been no familiar faces. Unless someone close leaked it intentionally after all this time, nobody would have thought to use this as blackmail. But who? After contemplation, I dialed Ethan's number. "Jasmine." His urgent voice came through first. "I didn't release that video." His defensive haste bred suspicion. It was your mother, wasn't it? My heart clenched as the words escaped. His prolonged silence confirmed everything. Jasmine. I'm sorry. I can't blame her now. I'll take full responsibility. Let me explain everything publicly. Okay? I scoffed coldly. What identity would he use? How to prove it? By the time he untangled this mess, irreversible damage would be done. The full footage? Can you retrieve it? Only releasing Ethan's complete explanation could swiftly end the online war. The video. Tyler bought it. He covered all medical expenses. So publication rights belong to him now. Ethan's voice, once so beloved, now chilled me to the bone. My phone slipped from trembling fingers when the provincial team urgently contacted my superiors. Head coach called, expecting reprimand. I was stunned by her gentle tone. Jasmine, stay calm. We're resolving this. My mind flashed to that interview where I declared, physical limitations shouldn't cage dreams. My team had endured so much, many viewing this as their only chance. Without medals qualifying for nationals, they'd face forced marriages back home. This wasn't just my dream, but all of theirs. Should I let Tyler destroy everything? Coach. Blame me. I'll resign so the girls can compete normally. We'll fix this post-tournament. Yet I knew this compromise would stain my career permanently. But with such dire stakes, how could I obstruct teammates who'd mustered every ounce of courage to get here? Packing hastily, I called Emily. Where are you? Her scream cut me off. Jasmine. Check trending now. The full video's release exploded across local charts. Footage showed Ethan's tearful explanation and bystanders' condemnation, shifting public sentiment toward scrutinizing Ethan's connection to mysterious Sophia. Within 30 minutes, the vanished completely, replaced by trivial celebrity gossip. Obviously, powerful hands orchestrated this. Realizing Sophia Mitchell's true identity could expose Tyler's whereabouts easily, I understood why he'd want containment. Yet who bypassed Tyler's schemes to leak the full video remained unknown, our mysterious ally still hidden in shadows. After that incident, Tyler never contacted me again. The competition preparations were in full swing, and everything that had happened seemed like just a minor hiccup along the way. Things progressed smoothly afterward. The team I coached fought their way through provincial trials with exceptional performance, sweeping the top 3 positions. Those girls beamed under flashing camera lights, embracing each other in their wheelchairs as the song Ocean of Stars played. Ironically, the pre-competition controversy drew more attention to the event. The mountain girl who became champion soon received sponsorship offers from advertising agencies covering all future training expenses. Amid cheers and applause, my phone rang. The voice that answered wasn't what I expected. Jasmine. You've done something remarkable. That distant yet familiar tone instantly transported me to my previous life, to that dim hospital room where news reports played constantly. During my worst insomnia nights, when despair nearly crushed me, I'd found unexpected solace in a female journalist's steady voice during evening interviews. I'd grown dependent on that comforting sound until the day breaking news announced her suicide, a respected reporter who'd supposedly jumped from a hospital's 17th floor after being traumatized by earthquake coverage. They replayed clips of her encouraging disaster victims, her voice always brimming with resilience. The official explanation never sat right with me. Now hearing that same voice again, tears welled up instantly. We met at a cafe. Did you leak the full video? Hannah sat across from me, her round face matching the glimpse I'd caught during Mrs. Brooks' public meltdown. Relief flooded through me. This timeline's tragedy had been averted. It was me. Her voice flowed like gentle streams. Exactly as I remembered. But why help me? Tyler could offer media connections and resources. As a journalist, exposing this would have benefited your career. Or at least, why risk angering him? My daughter is paralyzed. She lowered her gaze, eyes reddening. We were supposed to go to the park that earthquake day. But I took a last-minute assignment. The collapsing pillar, her legs, her voice broke. My husband? He was cheating at a motel downstairs, I learned that later. I suddenly recalled which hospital she'd fallen from in that other life, likely where her daughter received treatment. She loved dancing. Her teacher said she had rare talent. Hannah's composure cracked. How does a child process losing everything? She refused treatment. Stopped eating, until she met my eyes. During post-disaster reconstruction. I attended your university's career fair. Heard your speech about wheelchair fencing. I showed her competition videos that night, how athletes turned wheelchairs into extensions of their bodies. A tear slid down her cheek. She cried for hours. Next morning, she handed me her suicide note and said, "Mommy, I can still dance in my chair." My jaw dropped. Without your words, she might be gone. Without her, she didn't need to finish. The black and white memorial photo from my memories flickered behind my eyelids. This woman had literally been her daughter's lifeline. Tyler offered a fortune for the video. She continued. I told him my camera malfunctioned. I knew the unspoken hardships, her daughter's medical bills. The bitter divorce. Yet here she sat. Quoting Mencius, if wealth and honors are gained unrighteously, they mean nothing to me. Her gaze never wavered. That same unshakable integrity radiating through, the very quality that had once lulled a despairing insomniac to sleep, and now anchored two survivors across timelines. I once even blamed myself, thinking I wasn't good enough to keep my husband, thus causing my daughter's tragedy. But you spoke truth, we're mountains, not streams. Why should we stop for minor obstacles? What I need is to make him pay. If your story requires a savior with dramatic reversal, let her be a woman. We're not fools bleeding over men. Our swords can pierce cowards too. She left with those words. When the scandal broke, I was at the fencing team's victory celebration. This time, Tyler stood atop the podium. The leaked footage showed that explosive scene from Sophia's birthday, disheveled lovers scrambling apart. Ethan frozen with flowers. The love triangle became a national obsession. I don't know how Hannah obtained this from Tyler's inner circle. But traitors reap betrayal. Those united by greed scatter when profits fade. Such is karma. Sophia's acting career crashed before takeoff. Netizens squinted comparing her current photos to the video beauty, barely recognizing the botched surgeries. Her agent confirmed post-breakup mental breakdown led to disastrous procedures erasing her natural beauty. At 20-something, her face turned mask-like. Taste this isolation. I whispered. Even her private sneer got exposed. Ethan? Just a toy. Unless I play for real. How would Tyler hurt? I wonder if Ethan checks tabloids. How that recording stung. The saga concluded with Tyler's investors exposed for tax evasion. That hypocritical tycoon's endless affairs were finally proven by his ex-wife. Legal reckoning awaits. We'll follow developments. This is Hannah reporting. Her familiar voice ended the broadcast. Light yet liberated. Years later, Emily returned from abroad. Avoiding marriage pressures. She accidentally became an acclaimed director through relentless work. She approached me about filming my story. Their director class produced many stars. Yet once famous Tyler vanished without a trace. When Emily asked for signature lines, I wrote, long ago. Someone told me fate rules life. Now I say we rule fate. I requested her to feature my first student, that skinny dark girl turned Paralympic champion. She sends yearly photos blooming with radiant confidence. Beauty rivaling Sophia's prime. Emily cast most students I'd coached. These girls call me a savior, saying I gave them courage. None know I originally sought to save myself. Yet in midnight clarity, I recall the wheelchair-bound woman's wisdom. Saving oneself creates unexpected valor. This power lets anyone become their story's hero. My greatest fortune? Finally starring in my own world.